not believe you can make a difference, and that's why we're here. We all can make a difference when we come together.
Oh, yeah. I came up through these streets, now who's running the show? Me. Ha ha, he, yeah. We topping the bill now. Topping the bill now. Stacking the bills now. Stacking them. Came up through these streets, now who's running the show? Me. Ha ha, he, yeah. We topping the bill now.
All right, this is Van Jones, another installment of Woke.Vote. It's a podcast where we're trying to save the world, trying to save America, trying to make sure folk don't sit this one out and send us all to hell. But the key is to try to get some of the best people in the world talking about this thing. And we have on the set here one of the great legends of this whole new era of black everything in Hollywood. The good brother Michael Ealy is in the house. Give this brother a round of applause. Look. People know you mainly because of, Barbershop, Too Fast, Too Furious, Takers, Think Like a Man. You've done so much stuff, but people don't always know your heart and how much you care about what's going on in the world. And I think the first time people really heard from you was with that Muslim ban. That was the first time people were like, oh, this brother really, really cares. What was going on in your heart when you saw a whole religion of people being kept out of this country?
To me, it was kind of a sign of the times. Right? It was, everything kind of changed in 2016.
A little bit.
like we forget how pleasant things were before. Some of us forget how pleasant things were before, but I think 2016 was kind of this massive punch in the gut. And that was like one of the first things that came out of this administration, which was let's ban all Muslims from countries that we're, that we're not benefiting from. So it felt like, for me, one of the first times when I realized that, okay, we're about to witness real corruption now.
That's right. Say something about that.
They don't have to hide it anymore. Trump doesn't hide anything. He doesn't hide anything. His disdain for the certain people in this country, it's apparent. Look at the Muslim ban.
In some ways, it's almost like a dare. You tell me if I'm wrong. It feels like he's almost daring us to do something. It's like he almost feels like, you know what, I can get enough of my base, and whenever they say my base, like Trump's base, what they mean is angry white people, mostly.
Right.
Not only, but mostly.
And then Sheriff Clark and those other guys.
Exactly, a couple others. But I can get my base so riled up and so passionate with this rhetoric that they're gonna come and vote. And I know these other people, they're not gonna vote. And so in some ways, it feels to me that Trump is betting that young black folks are not going to come out in the midterms. Do you get that sense? Is that the calculation, or am I wrong?
I think you're giving him way too much credit for being intelligent and thinking in this way. I really do.
Okay.
Now, he has said I can walk down Fifth Avenue, shoot somebody, and my base wouldn't care.
True.
That being said, I agree with you. I do think he's unknowingly betting that we will not show up like we did for Obama.
Right. And
that's a mistake. And it's a mistake we made once, and it's a mistake we cannot make again. We cannot make it again. If you want to see an end to, young black men being shot by police and police beating up people in general, you have to vote. We were so good and comfortable.
Especially under
Obama. With this guy who represented us well on a world stage and was sensible.
Did we get too soft?
We got very soft.
I almost feel like we were like in this Obama bubble bath, you know what I mean, for like 8 years.
As someone who grew up on the East Coast and lived through 4 seasons a year, coming to LA, and then you go back, now I live in LA, so when you go back, when it's like 50 degrees, you're talking about how cold it is.
Exactly.
Right?
LA is summertime all the time.
So LA will lull you to sleep. And that to me is kind of like the Obama years.
That's
it
deep.
Really did kind of lull us all to sleep. So much so that we were not paying attention.
Yeah.
We were distracted. We weren't paying attention.
And also I think they kept saying he can't possibly win. It's almost like it was a joke candidacy. But I think a lot of people now feel powerless because of Trump. I mean, the people who are paying attention to the news, a lot of people just turned it off. I see it differently. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. I see it as when we came together for Obama, we made history.
Right.
And then when we sat down and took it lightly, then we made history in the other way. So when we stand up, we make history. When we sit down, we make history. I mean, we're not powerless. We're powerful if we use the power right. Is that correct?
I think you're absolutely correct. You know, our turnout in the 2016 election was not the same. The numbers speak for themselves. It wasn't the same. And if that doesn't show you how much power we do have, you're blind. Yeah. You're just blind and you're choosing to ignore reality. We have a lot of power. We have an incredible amount of energy when we're motivated. And that to me was the difference in 2016.
What do you feel in 2018? Do you feel like you're starting to see people coming around and getting motivated? Sometimes you can be motivated for somebody like an Obama or against somebody. Where do you think we are right now, and what do you think we need to do to make sure that we don't miss out in 5 weeks?
I think right now we're motivated against more than just somebody. I think you look at the history of who's in political power, Republicans or Democrats, and it seemed like it shifted every 8 years the last 20-something years. You know what I mean? It's just kind of shifting every 8 years. But I think the mistake we made in the 2016 election is we were not motivated by the candidate, whereby on the other side of things, they were, and they were motivated by more than just the candidate. They were motivated by the court.
If you're just a young African-American sister, brother, you're out there, look, you gotta get the bus to go to the laundromat. I mean, you got a lot of different things you're trying to deal with. Why should somebody in that situation care about the Supreme Court? How does the Supreme Court even relate to what's going on? Is that something important for our community at this point?
It's very important because at the end of the day, hope still matters. Mm-hmm. And I say that because I can understand how someone could feel disenfranchised based on where they grew up and what they're facing every day in their life. It ain't gonna get better if you disconnect. It will not get better.
Even issues like police brutality, a lot of that stuff gets resolved at the Supreme Court level. There's so many different things.
It will not get better if you decide to disconnect and not participate. You may not believe you can make a difference, and that's why we're here, right? We're here to tell you that you can make a difference. We all can make a difference when we come together. High school dropout rate for young black boys is almost 60%. I think 65.
Wow.
Something crazy like that. There was a time when getting an education, a free public school education, was something we fought for, was something that we didn't take for granted, but we fought for a public school education. And now we've gotten so comfortable that we feel like, I don't need this. So to a certain extent, you can have two ways. You can either be motivated, as you said, against some sort of oppression.
Right.
And when we were motivated to get a public school education, we all had one form of oppression. We all had it, right? Now, everything seems a little bit even. We got a couple of wealthy black folks and, what I mean? We had black president. So
people like slacked off a little bit.
Yeah, it's still not even.
Still not even, nowhere near.
Still not fair.
It's funny. You sound like a dad now when you talk. I mean, when you first came on the scene, you seemed like that young cat. You still seem young. Does having kids change your relationship to this whole question around voting and politics? Is that part of why you're as passionate?
Not really. I think Bush is what motivated me to really start to vote, to be honest with you. I don't think I had voted, I think I might have voted for Clinton, but then it was like that hijacking in, what was it, 2000?
Yeah, 2000. When
Florida and
when George W. Bush was running against Al Gore, and the Supreme Court just stole it and gave it to George W. Bush.
That was something that spoke to me. That was when I first woke up.
2000.
To be honest, it was 2000. And then we saw what happened when we went to war and countries. It was just like
nobody has thought about this, but 2001 was when 9/11 happened, and then 2002 we started these wars. This is the first time in American history, after now almost 17 years of war, a father could send his son to the same war, or a mother could send her child to the same war she fought in. Right. That's how long we've been over there, based on one bad election.
Right.
So that's
that shows you the consequences of who we vote for and the court.
right.
We have to remember the court.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The court is very important. And I'm a Democrat, we have kind of ignored that.
Yeah, we tend to do it on a one-off. What do you say to people who say, look, I voted for Obama again, it didn't get any better, I just throw my hands up?
I don't understand that. I'm not a fan of it didn't get any better. I remember the recession. I remember people losing their jobs. I remember people like just walking away from their houses and just saying, I got to go get an apartment somewhere.
I remember that.
With their families.
I remember that.
And yet when he left, if you think things weren't better, listen, I understand that certain individuals may not have, their lifestyles may not have improved, but on a macro level, we as a country,
The country got back.
we were in a much better position.
What about black people, though? I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. I think a lot of black people, listen, I remember growing up, and if a comedian was bombing and nobody was laughing, there was always one joke they could pull out. What if we had a black president? And when I was growing up, that was so funny. Just even saying that, people would start laughing and say, oh, we have fried chicken and blah, 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 and this, whatever, and everybody laughing. That was like the get out of jail free card for every comedian that was losing. And then we got one. And I think we had very, very high hopes and expectations that maybe it was all going to get better for black people in particular. What do you say to African Americans in particular who say, if Obama couldn't fix it, well then, I just don't care anymore? Can we afford to have that kind of attitude?
Absolutely not. I think it's a misconception, and I think it's interesting that you use the context of comedians, right? Because it's kind of a joke to think that Obama was going to come across as the first black president, and his mission was to only help black people. The president of the United States represents everyone. Everyone. Just because he looks like you doesn't mean he's going to only fight for your rights and your lifestyle. He can't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But people say, well, Trump is doing it only for his people.
Do you think their lives have gotten better? Have the coal miners got new mines? Do they have new mines to mine? No. The jobs have not come to West Virginia like he promised. Where are all the manufacturing jobs that he was going to give to all these quote unquote poor, angry white folks? Have their lives gotten better?
I think it's safe to say that, like, by voting, you won't get everything that you want, but by not voting, you can lose everything that you got.
You know, at the end of the day, you know, when we vote for America as a whole. When America as a whole is doing better, every group of people will do better. What you define as better could be incremental, right? It may not be, oh, we got our 40 acres and a mule, now we good. No. In terms of Obama and the black community and that whole theory, the black community, we have to lose the Messiah thing. We have to be each other's Messiah.
Talk about that.
We can't keep looking for one person to come and take us to a promised land where we are somehow, you know, all doing really well and eventually white people are all poor. That's not America. That doesn't.
Nor would that be the goal.
That's not the goal here, right? But if we can work with each other and we can uplift each other and we can work within our own communities, then we'll see the kind of improvements in our communities that we're looking for, we can't expect Obama to do it, we can't expect Oprah to do it, we can't expect Will Smith to do it. We have to do it for ourselves.
Working together.
We have to work together.
I'll take that. Why are you so passionate about this? What is it in your life and your upbringing and you're on fire about this.
I've grown tired. This is where me being a dad does come into it. I've grown tired of the emphasis on pop culture rather than what's really going on. I think part of the reason why during the Obama years we fell asleep was, if you notice, people cared more about pop culture. You know, there was an explosion with social media and streaming services and Amazon and all these things. Every time you use Amazon, you're putting a bit in, and this is, you know, this is what's happening. We're making things more convenient for us. And when we do that, we stop remembering that we have to outreach.
Yeah.
We have to do outreach. We have to be involved in our communities. We can't just be so insular. But our devices and streaming, so everything is making us, technology is making us more insular, and we're all focusing on, you know, all these things that kind of don't matter. And you're seeing since 2016 is that the social media medium has changed almost for the better, in that more people are now engaging on social media and becoming aware and woke, if you will, about what's going on in different communities around the country and the world. Mm-hmm. We got to treat each other right.
That's right.
That's where it all starts. We got to treat each other right, because you never know who's going to come in and have influence over your life.
Give a round of applause to my brother Michael Ealy. I appreciate it so much. Love it, man. You have been a part of another episode of Woke.Vote. It's a collaboration with The Messy Truth. We are going to keep bringing world-class, amazing people here to try to figure out how we can save this whole thing from the toilet bowl. And we did it with Michael Ealy. I love it. Appreciate you very much. Give me a hug, brother.
Be like me. Be woke. Vote.